Okay, back again with me, MYB Animation. We chatted casually while playing in the prison escape game. If we discuss escaping from prison, is it possible? Well, the security around the prison was very tight. That's a lightweight prison. If the prison is heavy class, well, must be super tight guard. And can a prisoner escape from prison? The answer is yes. Then how did it happen? In this world, there have been many cases of prisoners escaping from prison, whether in any country. There must be cases like that, until even to be immortalized in a film. One example of a prisoner escaping from prison film is Escape from Alcatraz. Escape from Alcatraz is a 1979 American thriller film directed by Don Siegel and starring Clint Eastwood. This film is based on a true story on Alcatraz Island, San Francisco, United States. The story in the film is inspired by a true story that happened in the 60s. As in the film, there are three convicts named Frank Morris, John Anglin, and Clarence Anglin who are preparing a strategy to escape from the prison. Their escape had caused an uproar in America. At that time, moreover, the three of them have never been caught again. So, here are some facts about the story of the escape of the three convicts that have not been solved to this day, which are summarized from several sources. In addition, there are several explanations for historical accuracy between the film Escape from Alcatraz and the true story. But before that, we will get to know Alcatraz prison more closely. Alcatraz prison may have been known as a super tight prison in its time that no one could penetrate. But in the 1960s, three convicts managed to escape from the prison in the center of the island and have never been caught or found until recently. Quoting Parade.com, Alcatraz prison is known for its high security and is located on a 22-acre island known as The Rock, about a mile and a quarter from San Francisco. Only Clarence Anglin, John Anglin, and Frank Morris could penetrate it, leaving Alan West the first to have a plan. Besides being tight, the seawater around the prison ranges from 48 to 54 degrees and has strong currents all year round. Over time, the prison will fall into disrepair and the budget for fixing many problems is limited. This will be an important factor in the prisoner's escape. Yes, in fact, I have entered level 2 in this game. Okay, we are back to the conversation earlier. Initially, there were 4 inmates who planned this escape. However, only 3 managed to escape. 3 of the 2 men were brothers. Frank Morris, a delinquent convict with a high IQ. Frank Lee Morris, or Frank Morris, is a figure who has been in and out of jail since he was 13 years old. He spent most of his early years in prison serving lunch to inmates. Later, he was arrested for grand theft in Miami Beach, auto theft, and armed robbery. Morris reports ranking in the top 2% of the general population in intelligence, as measured by an IQ test 133. As quoted by the New York Times, he served time in Florida and Georgia, then fled the Louisiana State Penitentiary while serving 10 years for a bank robbery. He was recaptured a year later during a robbery and sent to Alcatraz on January 20th, 1960, as convict number AZ-141. He is the brain of the escape. John Anglin and Clarence Anglin, brother and sister who liked to rob. John William was born into a family of 14 children. Donaldsonville, Georgia, including his younger brother Clarence. Clarence and John were reportedly inseparable as young people. They became skilled swimmers and amazed their siblings by swimming in the cold waters of Lake Michigan while the ice W. Clarence was first caught breaking into a service station when he was 14 years old. The Anglin brothers began robbing banks and other companies as a team in the early 1950s, usually targeting closed businesses to make sure no one got hurt. They claim they used the guns only once. during a bank robbery. Their guns were toys. In 1958, John, Clarence, and one of their brothers, Alfred Anglin, robbed the Columbia Savings Bank building in Columbia, Alabama. The three received sentences of 35 years, which they served in Florida State Penitentiary, Leavenworth Federal Penitentiary, and then Atlanta Prison, Settala Apaya Barilang Kali, and Tukmalarakan Diri Dari Facilitas Atlanta, John Den Clarence Dipindakan Alcatraz. John Tibapada 24 October 1960, Sabagay Narapidena AZ1 for 7-6. Dan Clarence Pada 10 January 1961, Sabagay Narapidena AZ1 for 8-5. Alan West. Alan West was born in New York City and was arrested more than 20 times in his life. He was jailed for auto theft in 1955. First at the Atlanta Correctional Facility, then at the Florida State Penitentiary. After an attempted escape from the Florida facility, he was transferred to Alcatraz in 1957 at the age of 28 and became inmate AZ-1335. West approached Morris with a plan to escape in early 1960. West was aware of the ventilator cover in cell block B, which was probably not covered with concrete, like most vents. If this is true, it could give them a way to climb onto the roof of the prison from the inside. West also began working with a maintenance crew who gave him insight into the building's structure, layout, and weaknesses. In September 1961, the Anglin brothers John and Clarence Morris and West requested a cell transfer that brought them closer to each other in cell block B. Directly under the unsafe manhole, all cell transfers were approved. The plan to escape was undoubtedly bold and ingenious. Phase 1 involved creating enough of a start to give them enough time to cover the mile and a half to San Francisco. They created the diversion by painting doll heads made of plaster mixtures such as soap, concrete, and other materials supplemented with real human hair. They laid their heads on their beds to fool the guards. And sure enough, on June 12th, the morning after the escape, when the 7 o'clock bell rang to wake the prisoners, the guards discovered that the prisoners were still asleep in their rooms. After placing the doll's head on their bed, the gang moves into phase 2 of their plan to escape the inescapable prison. The men went to work to get out of their cells. The four had ventilation doors measuring 5 inches by 9 inches at the back of their cells, perhaps because of his maintenance period. West knew that the walls surrounding the grate were less than 6 inches thick, allowing everyone to widen the holes in their cells to fit. For months, prisoners spent drilling tight little holes around the ventilation grill covers using crude, handcrafted tools such as spoons stolen from the kitchen and drills made from vacuum cleaner motors. These holes made it possible to remove entire small sections of wall around the air vents, which they covered with their musical instruments or fake cardboard covers. These openings allowed them to access a utility corridor immediately behind their normally unguarded cell. From there, they were able to ascend to a hidden underground area just above their cell block where they had been working in secret for several months. West never made it to this landing site during the escape, as he was unable to penetrate the last section of its walls around its ventilation grill. As a result, he fell behind. From the landing, the three were able to climb a pipe to the ceiling and reach an air vent they had previously opened to prepare for their escape. Experts say that the sound heard around 10:30 p.m. was the sound of an air vent shutter being pushed from the roof. They then descended from the roof via a pipe to the back of their cell block, climbed over a 15-foot fence, and made their way to the north shore of the island. To escape the island, the prisoners built life jackets and 14-foot-long inflatable rafts, made entirely of prison-issue raincoats. They gathered more than 50 raincoats for the job, probably sewing them together using a sewing machine, and vulcanized the rubber coats by holding the seams down to the heat from the steam pipes. The raft is inflated using the concertina. After realizing that the prisoners are missing, Alcatraz enforces a lockdown as the search begins. Guards quickly found a hidden workshop, a hole in the ceiling, and footprints on the roof and in the ground of the pipe they descended from. The FBI joined the case as well as the Coast Guard and the Bureau of Prison Authority in a large-scale search, but the escapees, as well as their raft, were never seen again.